I think it's important for people to know because some people their impression of you, right, is the reality TV journey that you were on. Um, but you founded this incredible company. But it took you a while to get there. And you talked about sort of the 2 years as you launched it and where you are now, which is just remarkable. What was that window of time like between sort of stepping away from the reality TV world and then to closing that gap where you started to see, I want to solve a problem in the world because of one that I'm navigating? Get me inside of that window of time a little bit.
I think my experience is very reflective of a lot of other people who are 25 to 30. You're in
Hmm.
a window where maybe you know what you want to do, or you have an idea, or maybe you don't, right? And I think a lot of people between the ages of 25 and 30 are not just existing, they are working towards some goal or some idea that they have about themselves, right? Um, but in reality, I think you're still very much a kid and a little bit all over the place. At
Hmm.
least for me, I was
Sure.
simply existing. And before I started Love Wellness and like really got deep into it, I was operating as a creator because that felt better than being on reality TV because at least I could create my own content and put my own story out into the world.
Hmm.
Um, but I still didn't know long term what that looked like. And I think that that's really reflective of a lot of young people when they first
Sure.
start work, right? You don't
Yeah.
know if what you're doing at 26 is going to be what you're doing forever, right?
Right.
And you're kind of just existing.
Sure.
You're kind of
Yeah. Learning.
you're reacting in a
Sure.
lot of ways versus being proactive.
Hmm.
And so I think that my experience, even though, yeah, it was on the internet and content is consumed by a lot of people, I think it's a pretty typical experience of having some idea but not totally knowing and just kind of rolling with the punches like to
Hmm.
keep it moving.
Sure. Yeah, no, I couldn't agree with you more. We have three daughters, and I think we live in a world where a lot of young people feel like they're supposed to know what they want to do, and I couldn't agree with you more, Lo. I encourage my girls, just worry about what you love, what you don't love, what you're good at, what you're not good at. Keep trying, failing, learning, and sort of through sort of through natural elimination at some level, you'll start to figure out what you're really gifted at and what you're here to do. And I wish more young women, particularly you and I are both super passionate about helping women, took a little pressure off themselves, and certainly young girls took a little pressure off themselves, knowing that you don't need to know, and it's okay if you don't. And so I love that. And I would imagine there were some failures along the way, right, Lo? Some things that worked and some things that didn't. Tell me about that.
Well, my job at the sports agency didn't work.
Yeah, you killed that, man. You love that.
Yeah. When I first moved to New York, I actually was the co-founder in another startup that failed miserably and actually taught me a lot of lessons that I took with me into Love Wellness. And it was a party in a box business. I can laugh about it now, but my co-founder and I were dead serious about it at the time. We were like, and this was before Target and Amazon and all these things had really cute party supplies. I thought, we love to throw parties. We are great hostesses. Let's create a party in a box experience that's affordable. And, we'll tell you how to do the food and get all the things set up. And my co-founder's dad had his business was international sourcing. And so we thought we had this like in to getting, affordable, well-designed products. And it was just so much harder than we thought. We were trying to ship people boxes that were enormous at, cost-effective ways. And my co-founder and I didn't get along and we couldn't agree on things. And we raised a couple $100,000 from friends and family. And the business ended up going under. And it was so difficult for me to even
I bet.
face my friends and family that had given me money for a few years because I was like, I'm just so sorry. Like we failed and like I didn't know how to operate this business in the way that I thought, right? It didn't turn
Sure.
out in the way that I hoped that it would.
Hmm.
And having to own that is a very
Sure.
interesting and painful and humbling experience.
Hmm.
Um, but ultimately, it taught me so many lessons and set me up for greater chance of success when I started Love Wellness.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think so often we learn a little bit more from the moments that we fail, a lot more from
Completely.
the moments that we fail. And you had a blog, Lowdown, and a YouTube channel, all of these things. And the French Culinary Institute, I can, barely make a grilled cheese loaf, so I'm super impressed. I mean, I'm
Nice.
impressed. I love it. So, okay, back to Love Wellness. Your products, they're in Ultra, they're in Target. You just launched in Walmart. You brought in a new CEO, as you said. How have you handled the rapid growth of the company over the last several years, which it's just a hockey stick?
Yeah. So if we go back to like 2019, 2020, I raised my Series B private equity round, I think really at the right time, kind of right before the pandemic. And so financially, we were in a good position to be able to handle sort of that hockey stick type of growth,
Mm-hmm,
right?
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Because your marketing budgets increase, your inventory costs increase, your headcount costs increase, right? Your OpEx increases, right?
Yep,
And
yep.
you have to be able to reflect that. And so, I mean, the team has just grown so significantly. We were maybe 5 or 6 people, 5 to 8 people back in 2018, 2019, and now we're 45 people.
Wow.
Um, and Ulta was our first retail partnership in 2019. And I am such an Ulta fan. It is my
Mm-hmm,
favorite beauty retailer in the world because you can get everything at Ulta. You
mm-hmm.
can get affordable price points, you can get luxury items, you can get razors, you can get eyeshadow, you can get vaginal health products like Love Wellness. And because it was our first retail partnership, we really didn't know what was going to happen. It was a complete experiment, right? We were like doing well on our D2C site, we were doing
Mm-hmm.
well on Amazon. And I thought, okay, can like gut health and vaginal health products work in a beauty environment? And so it was
Mm-hmm.
a complete experiment out of the gate. And immediately we saw such incredible success. And our first major learning as a brand was women want these products and they're more inclined to discover them and buy them in non-traditional settings. So
Oh, interesting.
when you put them into a beauty setting versus the
Mm.
tampon aisle, they're much more inclined to stand there to pick up the product, to actually read the packaging, versus the tampon aisle where you run in, you're embarrassed, and you grab the thing and you run out. And so I think in that the tampon aisle, you're like, okay, I see the Tampax, I know that brand, I'm gonna go run, right? You don't want to be caught dead in that aisle. So discovery is more challenging there. So the first major learning was, okay, we could do really well in retail in an atypical environment. And
How
so
did
then
you figure that out? I mean, that is awesome.
it was just, I mean, it was, we could easily see it in our sales data, you
So,
know.
but I mean, were products on the tampon aisle and then they were in the beauty aisle and you were seeing the movement? Or like, get me inside of
No.
how
So,
you, in fact, figured that out.
well, because Ulta was our first retail partner.
Okay,
So we launched in a beauty store before we were
got it.
in mass.
Got it.
And so we had no idea how we would perform in the tampon aisle, right?
Right.
Just the
Okay.
first learning was, oh my gosh, people are buying this stuff at a rate that we never anticipated
Mm-hmm.
in this beauty setting. And
Mm-hmm.
so our next retail partner was Target, and we launched nationwide in the natural beauty aisle. So
Wow.
trying to replicate that same success,
Yep.
which we did at Target in the natural beauty aisle. And it's interesting because we are also sold in OTC or the tampon aisle at Target.
Mm.
And
You're in
our
both
velocity,
locations.
we're in both locations, and our velocity in natural beauty outperforms our velocity in the tampon aisle, which is
Wow.
really, really interesting.
Yes, it is.
So then we knew that that was a proof point, right? We were like, okay, this is this
Yeah.
is for
This is our aisle. This is our
yeah,
lane.
yeah. And most recently with Walmart, we have launched into 1,600 doors with 6 products in the digestive health aisle. So, like in the poop aisle, basically, which is a really interesting place to be, and really reflective of how innovative and forward thinking Walmart leadership is, because they understand that the gut and vagina are connected on that axis, and that gut health influences vaginal health. So we're selling vaginal health products in the gut health, in the digestive health aisle at Walmart.
Interesting.
And we're already seeing our vaginal health products outperform our gut health products in that aisle. So it's really interesting.